Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Muhammad Syahrul Nizam bin Saidah. My metric number is AD150218. So now I would like to talk about cutting in sheet metal working. First of all, is shearing between sheet metal between two cutting edges. From the diagram, we can see the punch is not touched between the metal, so it is just before the punch contact works. So this is when we prepare our punch to make contact with metal. And then we apply force at the punch and punch begin to push into work. Force was applied, then punch make contact with the metal and causing plastic deformation. Next is punch compresses and penetrates into work and causing a smooth cut surface. And lastly, at the opposing cutting edges, fracture is initiated, then separate the sheet. So in cutting, it is consists three principal operation in press working, which is shearing, blanking, and punching. Shearing. What is shearing? Shearing is sheet metal cutting operation along a straight line between two cutting edges, which is typically used to cut large sheets into smaller sections for subsequent operations. So this is the diagram. A is the side view of the shearing operation and B is front view, which is we apply force to shearing punch and shearing punch will make contact with the metal. The symbol V is represent motion. Blanking. What is blanking? Blanking is sheet metal cutting to separate piece from surrounding stock. So the cut piece is desired part called a blank. And what is punching? Punching is sheet metal cutting similar to blanking, except cut piece is scrap called a slug. Remaining stock is the desired part. So for A is blanking, which is the blank part we apply to the scrap. And B is punching, which is slug scrap we apply to the part which is have a hole at there. Just we can see at the diagram. Next is clearance. Clearance in sheet metal cutting. What is clearance? Clearance is distance between punch cutting edge and die cutting edge. Typically, value range for clearance is 4% and 8% of stock thickness. If too small, fracture line pass each other and causing double burnishing and large force. If too large, metal get pinched and cause an excessive burr. So, recommended clearance can be calculated by C equal to AT, which is C is clearance, A is allowance, and T is the thickness of the stock. Allowance A is determined according to the type of metal. So this is the type of the metal group and the allowance, which is aluminum alloy and all temper. The allowance is 0.045 for aluminum alloys such as brass, soft cold rolled steel, or soft stainless steel is 0.060. And for the cold rolled steel, half head, stainless steel half head, and full head, the allowance A is 0.075. For punch and die sizes for blanking and punching. For For a round blank of diameter, which is dB, the blanking punch diameter is equal to dB minus 2c. For blanking diameter is equal to dB. For a round hole of diameter, dH, which is hole punch diameter equal to dH actually. So hole die diameter is calculated is equal to dH plus 2c, which is C is clearance, dB is for round blank for diameter, dH is hole of diameter. So this is the diagram for punch and die sizes for blanking and punching. As we can see, dH is between the punch size, so the clearance between the die. So die size is a blank piece. The distance between the distance for blank piece, and C is for clearance. Next is angular clearance. What is angular clearance? The purpose for angular clearance is to allow slug or blank to drop through die. The typically value for angular clearance is 0.25 degree to 1.5 degree on each side. So from the diagram we can see the distance between straight portion for resharpening and the other side from bottom of the die is angular clearance, which is the angle. Next is cutting forces. Cutting forces is used to determine the press size, which is tonnage. The formula to calculate cutting forces is F equal to S times T times L, where S is shear strength of metal, T is torque thickness, and L is length of cut edge. So, other sheet metal operation is cut off and parting. Next is slotting, perforating, and notching. And last but not least, other sheet metal operation is trimming, shaving, and fine blanking.